Hello, this is Cassandra Arnold, and I'm going to be going through my mixed digital media critique. The project proposal that I have is that high school students are going to use qualitative and quantitative research methods, as well as the multimedia tools to explore a civic, environmental, or historical issue impacting their community. They can work in groups, and they are going to also be assigned peer review teams to give them feedback throughout the process of completing this assignment. So what's meant by the qualitative and quantitative research methods is through interviews, observations, maybe through personal experiences and doing maybe a documentary on themselves, as well as the traditional research methods of looking up data through the computer, in journals, etc., and trying to address a particular issue that's in their community. Their community could be in their street, in their family, it can be in their city. And it could also span maybe an environmental or civic issue impacting business, impacting engineering, impacting medicine and health. That's why we have the image, a wide discipline of potential sources. But it needs to be something that really touches upon their community so they could practice participatory engagement and some of those 21st century skills. An important aspect of this project will also be using the multimedia to help with data collection. Traditionally, you're looking on the computer, downloading files, but you can also use some of the tools that I'll be evaluating to help actually capture the information that the students then need to analyze. So the tools that I'm going to be critiquing is the Photoshop Express, that's going to be my still media, Video Toolbox, that is going to be my moving media, and Soundation, which is my audio media. Now the rubrics asked us to identify whether it's a tool that we never want to use, possibly use, or must use. So in order to kind of get that final, what I'll call final score, according to these different criteria that's listed in the rubric, I kind of identified my own little scoring chart. A useful feature is a feature that I think is really helpful and it's really dynamic and it'll help a variety of different subjects. So for example, whether somebody wants to do an art-inspired issue or a medical issue or a social justice issue, that particular tool can still have features that someone can apply. And it also doesn't matter if you're advanced in technology or if you're just a novice. That would get a useful score. A lackluster feature is a feature that really doesn't help bring the data in an efficient way. It's actually counterproductive. It takes a lot more time. So if any of these tools for any of these categories had that kind of situation, then they would get a lackluster score. And you can look on my blog. For each tool, I have a detailed chart which gives the ranking for each of these criteria. One of the criteria that you might not see here that's on the rubric is whether it's a free or paid service. I'm putting in for myself a criteria that all my apps need to have some free capabilities because school districts vary, students income, socioeconomic status varies, and I wouldn't want monetary constraints to be put on that ability to finish the project. So my first item that I'm going to be evaluating is the Photoshop Express. Overall, I think it's a must-use tool. It's an extremely flexible, it can be accessed either on your desktop or mobile. It's easy to download. You get a wide variety of contrasting, editing capabilities. They actually have a lot of preset functions that can be accessed through social media. The one thing I don't like about the Photoshop Express is that it doesn't have a file manager. So every time I need to access Photoshop, I will need to upload the photo within the app in order to edit it. So I'm going to walk you through really quickly some of the features that I really like about Photoshop. So this is actually a file that I created for one of our past projects. It's something I actually drew. What I'm showing you here is you have the different contrast, clarity, and vibrance. Those are just different settings you can use to edit the tool capability. And so for something as simple as, a just handwritten drawing, you could really change the effects. Like right now, changing the contrast gives it either a really antique look or it gives it a more crisp look compared to the little doodle that I did and just, made a photograph on my mobile phone. So it definitely has a wide variety of options in terms of effects that you might want to have. Something else that I like about the Photoshop feature, and I'll fast forward it to this section, is where we talk about colors and the moods. Now you can see this white balance feature, which gives you temperature and tint. You see how differently that image might resonate depending on what type of warmth or cool colors that you might try to use. So that's, I think, another really creative option. Here you see all the different, these are all preset, so it's all free that you can just play with all the different features. And if you don't like something and you want to go back, you can just hit the no look option. And that'll bring you right back to the original image itself. If you thought you maybe went a little too far and did too many edits. That's a nice feature that I like about Photoshop. It also has the very standard red eye, removing noise and background luminescence and things like that, which you would find in any typical picture option. And then you also have down here the reset capability. So again, if you maybe thought you went a little too far and you've kind of lost your way, you want to go back to the original image, you can do that, which is what this was. So as you can see, it needed a lot of work. Um, Also, here in the cropping feature is where you would access all the different ways that you can crop your document. And so, as I mentioned earlier, you have at least several different ways that you can incorporate your photo into a template for, like, say, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can put a picture in a Twitter header. You could put a picture in a Twitter subject. They have preset templates where you can do that as part of the cropping feature. So that is Photoshop. The next tool that I'm going to be critiquing is going to be the Moving Media Video Toolbox. So the Moving Toolbox, it allows you to edit video. And what that allows you to do is to be really dynamic in terms of, like, if you're doing interviews, if you want to do like a mini documentary of sorts, you want to really capture the environment, if that's an important aspect of the research. And also, kids have different personalities. Some kids are better at writing, better at speaking. So the video toolbox capability, I feel, really helps for those individuals that don't necessarily like writing, but they're very good at verbal communication and they want to get their point across. So I think it's great that we have this option of incorporating moving media. So again, it's very easy to use. I was very impressed by all the different editing capabilities it has for free. As well as the ability to work with a lot of different video formats. A big con that I have is that the processing time is very long. Like sometimes when you see on the bottom of the screen, this feature may take a few minutes. This actually does take a few minutes. And I noticed that in some of the less frequent features, like to convert a file, that, something you don't typically use that often is like cutting a file or merging a file or extracting a file. Pop-ups tend to occur. So now I'm going to walk you through quickly the video toolbox. So this is Video Toolbox. It's a web-based application. So you just type in videotoolbox.com and you create your own user password and ID. This is the home page. This is a placeholder for ads, but as you can see, there are no ads here, so that's helpful. It is a little annoying that you do have to scroll down half the screen to get to all the menus, but as you can see, the menus are very easily labeled. The file manager, I feel, is the most important feature because that gives you access to all of the features that you'll be using when you want to edit your video. And as you can see, these are files that I've used for some past projects already. I've been combining files and editing files. You can cut files, like if it's too long, make deletions. You can actually make thumbnails. Those are great when you want to use social media. You can crop. And like I said, I've been merging a lot of different files together. So you can select that file that you want to use or use the option. And if it's a new item that you want to create, you just go to where you have the video and you upload it. And it's all free. I won't show you that because, as I said, it is very long. You can also download a URL. So if you have a YouTube video that you want to use and edit. This is an example of just merging a file. So what I did, I just selected the files, I selected merge, and then as you can see very quickly it uploads, and then you pick the order in which you want the file to appear. So I want the second video to go first and the first video to go second. So I drag them there and I select the output. I've been using MPEG files quite a bit, but as you can see, there are at least 8 different video formats that you can choose from. So that really helps when kids have different technologies, different phones, so they don't necessarily all have to have the same tools and technology. They can still work together. You create a specific name for that new file, and then you just hit merge. And that is an example of how you can navigate through the system and some of the different aspects. If you want to look at a merge video, you can check out my blog for entry. That was actually a merge video that I used using this tool. And as you can see, you have also, this is a file that I edited. It was originally like maybe 2 minutes, 50 seconds, and I wanted to cut it down. So then I just selected it, and then you enter in the portion that you want to cut. You do have to record the timing, but once you do that, you cut it, and then it then goes ahead and makes that edit, and then it will save under a new file. So it also keeps track of all the recent files that you worked with, and as you can see, it has a timer for when that last file was saved. So if you have concerns about version control, you could always go back to the recently output files in the file manager. Here's where they have the tutorials, and I thought the tutorials were pretty effective because they are actually video tutorials. So I think that works well when you're trying to learn a new app. The one drawback that I do have about these tutorials is that they are very fast. So this is merging a file, and it goes for about 58 seconds, but as you can see, it's moving pretty quickly. This is cool in that you can merge more than just the 2 files that I had. Somebody seems to be making like one of those cute, funny Facebook videos where we mix unexpected situations. And of course, this can be used for more, serious scholarly work. But if, students want to have a little fun with a subject, that's fine too. And as you can see, you're changing the resolution, all the different outputs and things like that. I think if you're new to using videos and things like that, it might be better for it to be a paced video where it's not just pre-recorded. You might have to stop it a couple of times. So that is, and essentially at the end, the pop-ups that I mentioned. So that's what I don't necessarily like about this, but I still think it's a must-use, given all the good capabilities that it has. And so the last item that I'm going to do an analysis on is the foundation. That is my music audio. Now I have to admit, I wasn't necessarily thinking strongly about the audio aspect, but as we indicated in some of our readings, music is a form of expression and it's a form of communication, and also just the process of manipulating the moods that you get from music, lyrics. Some students might want to express the results of their study in a song. We definitely have very political songs or very strong political messages in music and in creativity. So I definitely thought more deeply about it, and I think Soundation is a possible use, and the reason why I indicated that, is because the tutorials are horrible. I think they can be much better. What I do like is they do have a file manager that saves your previous work. While you're in that particular session, you do have to save it again under a dedicated file name. And there is an enormous library of different sound effects, different vocals, different types of even musical instruments, musical genres that I didn't see in some of the other suggested audio apps. So real quickly, I'm going to show you my walkthrough through Soundation. And so this also is another web-based application, and this is me accessing it through Chrome. You could access it through Flash Player. I really didn't see much of a difference. It's just the some of the fonts were slightly different in the user interface, but that was about it. The functionality still seemed to be consistent. So this is your home screen. I've logged in. I had to create a username and password. I went right into the library where you have different mixes. As you can see, it is enormous, and they have it according to different beats per minute. I think that's what that's called. And as you can see in premium sounds, you have a listing of all these genres as well. And within that, listening to some of the music that's pre-formatted. So kids can get really creative. As you can see, here's the different instruments. Different genres. So if you want a jazz guitar, you got that. You want to go a little more Latin, they have the acoustic guitar if they want to be more upbeat. So as you can see, that's part of the learning. Of course, in the classes, we'll discuss, what's appropriate for what you need. But I thought that was excellent. I didn't see as an extensive a library in any of the others. Now, the disappointing part that I didn't really like about Soundation, and because you do have all the mixing and remixing, this is their help area. And so I go right to how to. That's your basic ABC, step 1, step 2, step 3. And the very first thing is add, delete, or move tracks. And so basically what it is they're screenshots. And it says first here, go on the plus symbol to the lower right. That's actually going to be my left. So they actually, it's going to be on the left of the screen. So they're not even considering me, the user. I'm not really looking at in that particular direction. So they should really adjust their instructions to the user. And yes, you click on that button, but then it doesn't provide you with, okay, what should I now see on the screen to help me know that I'm going in the right direction? I think that would be helpful if you must have screenshots. And that's something I've actually seen when I've actually created training videos. You need a lot of screenshots if you're going to go that option in terms of help in FAQs as opposed to just a demonstration video. Now here are the demonstration videos. However, one thing I did not like about the demonstration videos that you will see when I click back into the previous screen is that they indicate that this might be based on a previous version of Foundation, and so it might be updated, but the steps are pretty much the same. So essentially what I did is I looked up YouTube, and it seems to be another class that is using Foundation, and it's about a 10-minute YouTube video tutorial, so I will be leveraging that as well as my, click and play type of methodology, which I usually use. So that's why I have Foundation as a possible use. But the other two apps, Photoshop Express as well as Video Toolbox, I definitely think it'll be used. So the next steps for this project will be further exploration of the various settings, especially the free advanced settings, get more comfortable with the apps through the video tutorials, as well as our online communities, and would like to explore whether anyone in those communities have used those apps before and what are some best practices. Also, because these are new tools, I think it's important that we incorporate prototyping along with the lesson plan. So, hey, what are some of the issues that you might want to explore? And do you think you want to use an audio or moving media to collect data or in your analysis? And let's, as a team and as a group and as a class, start exploring how-tos together, and then you can come up with different ideas and concepts. So any feedback on my critique, feel free to respond to my blog. Take care.